take wherever you're at in North America right now and consider the heat level. And imagine being in the stagnant southern forests of Georgia or northern Florida, the stagnant swamps of southern Alabama and southern Georgia. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we are dealing with in the South. Extreme heat with very little airflow. So when it comes to carrying around gear, which is heavy, options can be limited, especially on a budget. Now, I chose to explore this Alice rig. This isn't new to me. I've had most of this stuff for probably since I lived in Illinois. So that would have been 6 years ago. But being that my chest rigs take up a lot of real estate up here in the central kind of heating furnace, I decided to experiment with Alice. It's cheap, it's available at surplus stores, and it works. So I figured we just look at this as an example. I'm not saying this is right or wrong. This is just ideas. Not everybody trains to knife fight. I carry a knife. Some people might prefer more water than one canteen. It's currently set up for 308, so I only have 4 20-round magazines on the rig. So that's not enough capacity for a lot of people, but then again, this is 308 and it's heavy. So you could get 6 magazines with 2 of these pouches here. But again, this is just for ideas and also for fun. Now it's hot as hell out here, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna relocate into the shop where it's a little bit more shady. Here you can see some of the sustainable living systems we've been working on, being that things are getting dicey out there in the world. And the ability to produce your own food is probably a bigger priority than even some of this stuff. But this stuff is a lot more fun, and that's why you're here. So give me one moment to relocate. All right, I was hoping it would at least be a little bit less noisy in here too, with those roosters constantly going off. So but you can still hear them in here anyway. So again, this is my Alice rig. I'm actually gonna take it off and put it on the floor so you can check it out. But before I do, one thing I did want to show, this is not probably how I would actually run it, but just for a little bit of fun, being that I don't have a 1911, I wanted to get something that was kind of period correct, if you will, to maybe the 70s. So what I did extract out of the collection is my classic Belgian 1968 Browning high power. And being that I do have a pistol mag here, pistol mag pouch, I also have a 15-round magazine for said Browning high power. So I thought that was kind of cool in the US leather holster. Again, this was 1970s and you were American, that would more than likely be a 1911, I would think, but just thought that would be fun. All right, for y'all's viewing pleasure and for my ongoing sanity, I went ahead and relocated inside so we didn't have to keep listening to that rooster. I think he comes up and intentionally does that when he hears me outside talking, kind of assert his territory. So we'll let him just take care of my food supply out there, and we'll just enjoy some air conditioning for a little bit here as we go through the components of the Alice rig as currently assembled. This is just ideas. This isn't absolute. I mean, it's a little ridiculous in its face. I got a 5.56 rifle here, and this thing's full of 308 magazines, but the carry handle rifle there is just there for dramatic effect. And so we will go ahead and just kind of check this out. Now, we already pointed out that we have my Browning high power. This is kind of a family heirloom at this point that was brought out only for this video. I haven't shot this in a number of years. As a matter of fact, I'm a little annoyed that I'm putting holster wear on it right now. So we're just gonna go ahead, slip that back in there and get that back in the safe where it belongs here in a moment. Now this is a magazine pouch. Am I in camera here? Yeah, I'm in camera. This is a magazine pouch, actually a compass pouch, good Lord. This is a compass pouch here. It does not currently have my Kamanga in it because I only have one Kamanga and it's in my main rig right now. So These are the standard old Alice pouches. Now the cool thing about this, apart from the fact that they can hold usually two 20-25 round SR25 or 308 magazines, but they'll hold 5.56 magazines if you want to stuff them in there. But most civvies don't probably have a lot of use for these, but what I'm gonna do, well, one, I found that these are really decent for holding ace bandages. So I like to keep a tourniquet and a ace bandage handy. But another thing I want to do, since these are kind of for grenades or flashbangs or whatever, is sew a little stitch down in these so they'll actually hold flashbangers for my 37mm launcher. And just a little added stitch in there. You see they will go through. But a little added stitching in there, a little modification, maybe we can get those to fit in there, which would be a really cool, again, civilian usage of those. Now, nestled in between this medical pouch and this magazine pouch, we have, this is a pretty cool dump pouch that's very compact. You probably barely even noticed it was there. But once deployed, and it can be a little challenging being that's in between here. Once deployed, you have a place you can dump your water bottles and Cheetos. Or should I say your, Coca-Cola bottles and Cheetos. Not entirely sure who my audience is at any given point in time, because according to my statistics, being that I'm not a consistent poster on this channel, things fluctuate through time, and I do pay attention to that type of stuff. But you can see it took minimal effort to get that bunched back up. And I think when I reconfigure this is probably gonna go. Medical pouch, standard national stock number medical pouch components are all in there. I think we've got a surplus of those, kind of like a little case of those from Sportsman Guide a number of years ago. And those are the types of things you need to go through and inspect for expired components. Because the more gear you accumulate through the years, the more things you test, the more you have opportunities for expired components. Standard GI canteen cup. Some people keep water purification tablets in here. I usually keep a lighter and a P38 can opener. This is actually a P51, the bigger brother of the P38. I was wondering where that was, actually. I haven't seen that in a while. Now I know another one of those excellent magazines. Again, this is all Alice. Then we have, this is a RH36, that stands for Remington Hunting knife. These are infamous for going into World War II for combat, and this actual story is that the infamous K-bar combat knives were not ready for field service at the time of the outset of the war, American involvement. So many American servicemen went to their local Sears, Roebuck, whatever, got themselves a Remington RH36 hunting knife, deployed to World War II during the European theater with those knives. Then we have two magazine pouches. I have a 15 rounder for that Browning high power, and then here we have a multi-tool. So now the second iteration of this, we were going to experiment with a butt pack. We might remove the dump pouch. Not too sure what we're going to do with the flashbangs yet, but I want to try the butt pouch and maybe a different configuration. It's hot, super humid. Maybe an extra canteen might be apt. Dual canteen. There's all kinds of examples out there. People doing that, running dualies. Might actually take off the pistol, dump pouch, fix a second canteen, and a butt pack. Who knows? Might actually put the medical pouch in the butt pack. Might get a different medical pouch. These are a little outmoded in some ways. And then I will mention that on, what is it? I forget the designation. It's like the H1 is the harness and H2 is the belt or something. But on the harness itself, if you excuse all the German Shepherd here, is a little pouch with a rat's tourniquet in it. The harness itself does have these little attachments where you could put your push-to-talk comm or whatever for your radio. Again, no food, no sustainment other than water. abuse of a Browning high power, 1968 Belgian model. Let's see, nothing of beauty. It's empty. Does have the magazine disconnect in those, which can be a little annoying, but it's just a beautiful gun. 1968. Again, this is kind of a family thing. I got this from my dad, and he's got one of my Glocks and the ARs for it, but he says they'll all end up mine, but he tends to give things away to my brothers and cousins, so we'll see. But that's the Alice harness. So what do y'all think? In a nutshell, it's pretty simple. And again, probably for my property to patrol, 5.56 magazines makes a lot more sense. Not much to contend on here on my little homestead, my little compound. That 308 would be needed. As a matter of fact, there's not much that a good bow and arrow wouldn't contend with around these parts. But the problems we have sometimes with predation on the chickens with birds of prey, flashbangers might come in, or bird bangers that is, bird bangers, and for actual animal control. And a good piece of kit, go around the perimeter, see what's going on, keep things safe. So I hope y'all enjoyed that little foray into my world of the Alice rig. Again, I was just down at the surplus store, and there was probably 20 of these sitting on the shelf. Not assembled. All these I bought individually and assembled myself. But if you're looking for something on a budget, Alice might be the way to go. Later.